The virologist is one of the most hated jobs on the station, not by the people working it, but by your co-workers and colleagues. The virologist is more hated than the clown even. At least the clown is a mascot, and subconsciously is loved. The man in charge of virology is not only misunderstood, misrepresented, and usually mistaken as an enemy when they're seen outside of their laboratory. All this is for the average virologist, but if you're good at your job and people know you as the guy that makes the beneficial viruses, you will be loved by everyone, even traitors, because you will be infecting them too by accident.
Dr. Fauci, give us vaccines.
Welcome to another tutorial. The virologist is actually a very easy job once you wrap your head around the mechanics of the job. First, let's start with your isolation in your laboratory. Usually you are alone. People rarely visit you unless there's an issue and they need help with a cure or they need you to make something. And 9 out of 10 times, if people are breaking into virology, you need to defend yourself, because there's no reason why anyone should be breaking in here unless they are trouble. Every laboratory on each station has a standard work area with your pandemic. This thing is your bread and butter of virology. You will use this to examine blood that's laced with viruses to determine what the virus does, if it's good, bad, or ugly. You will have a refrigerator specialized with chemicals that you'll need and also a couple starting viruses. You'll have 2 rooms usually used to house individual test subjects, either monkeys, mutated monkeys that are now humans that you'll get from genetics, or actual people because you are a madman and you are experimenting on live subjects.
Upon waking up this morning, this came to me in thought. Wake up like the champion you are.
Then you will have your monkey area. Handle these guys with care. They can jump you and knock you out into critical. When handling monkeys, some laboratories have handcuffs, some laboratories have straitjackets, etc. Most laboratories have morphine. You can inject the monkey to make him catatonic, knock him out. Also, buckle them down to the beds. Labs that don't have handcuffs always throw the monkey onto the bed by dragging him onto the mattress, not the sheet. That will give you about 5 to 10 seconds of time to inject the monkey and get out of the room. Monkeys can still bite you when laying down, but they can't if they're handcuffed. And finally, one map has a maintenance area with your APC in it and a little mouse stowaway. This mouse, 9 out of 10 times, will chew the wiring in here, completely removing power to virology. Act accordingly. Either put this mouse into a room as a test subject, or just dispatch it. Now, outside of simple diseases that are predetermined, like zombie infection, alien parasites, the flu, cold, stuff like that, you can make advanced custom diseases. You do this by adding a set number of chemicals that each do their own thing. And these chemicals are usually specific to virology only, but a few are not. Let's go over these now. The most basic are virus food, unstable mutagen, and liquid plasma. And now you're going to see the mechanics of adding stuff to viruses. The virus food basically will give you a level 1 to 2 symptom, and it's random, so it's like RNG based. The unstable mutagen is levels 2 to 4, and these are like the tiers of strength of the symptoms. And liquid plasma would be tiers 4 to 6. Your advanced chemicals, virus rations, which you get by combining 1 unit of virus food with synapsine. Your refrigerator starts with a bottle of this. And this will give you a level 1 symptom, making it more specific on what you want to achieve. This is what makes virology easier, these advanced chemicals. Mutagenic agar is made by mixing unstable mutagen and virus food together. This gets you level 3 symptoms. Sucrose agar is either sugar or saline glucose mixed with mutagenic agar, and this makes level 4 symptoms. Then you have weakened virus plasma. This is made by taking virus plasma and using synapsine on it, equal portions, and this gives you level 5 symptoms, and then virus plasma gives you level 6 symptoms. It's made by mixing liquid plasma and virus food. Then you have 3 very advanced chemicals. This is decaying uranium gel, combining virus food with liquid uranium. You grind up uranium sheets or uranium bars from mining. So this is more of a mid to end round item. And then unstable uranium gel is level 7 symptoms, and before the decaying uranium gel is level 6 or 7 symptoms. But the unstable uranium is made by 1 virus plasma mixed with 5 liquid uranium. That gives you level 7 symptoms all the time. And then level 8 symptoms, there's only 2 of them in the game. They're both beneficial and they're amazing. And to get this, you need 1 liquid plasma with 10 parts liquid uranium and also 10 parts liquid silver or gold. And on top of this, you have the synapsine and formaldehyde. Synapsine will remove a random symptom from your virus. This is used to remove stuff that you don't want when you're making custom viruses. You'll see in a minute. And then the formaldehyde neuters symptoms. You use this to make beneficial viruses. So for example, if you have a virus that has cough, if you use a drop of formaldehyde on it and you neuter cough, you'll have all the stat benefits that cough gives, but the people won't be coughing. You'll have none of the negative traits of a cough, just the positive stats. Let's talk about stats for a minute. Unlike botany, the stats of viruses and symptoms and your viruses are all predetermined. What I mean by this is every single symptom has a predetermined stat associated with it. So coughing in your virus will always give -1 stealth, 3 resistance, 1 stage speed, 2 transmission. You'll notice the very negative things on this list will give a lot of negative stats. And this kind of balances virology out. You can't go in here and make a super negative virus. When I was early on virology learning, I was under the impression that you could do that, but this is where the balancing comes in. So a very powerful negative virus will look like 1 or 2 negative traits, and then a bunch of traits that are neutered, like coughing, headache, itching, sneezing, all that. Let's talk about the procedure of how you make viruses and cure them. Your dropper is your best tool. You want to adjust this between 1 and 5 units depending on what you're making, but when you're dealing with the virus, you're always going to use 1 unit per chemical. You don't need more than that. So you'll take out 1 unit of virus from your refrigerator, either the flu or the cold, put that in a beaker to test, and then you'll be adding 1 drop of any of the chemicals on the list. I like to organize my chemicals. I take out most of the beakers, if not all of them, line them up between 1 and 6, and that's how you're going to organize the chemicals, or any way that your brain works to organizing them. This is definitely how I do it. And then stick with 1 tier of symptom and isolate away. You want to take a drop of the cold, mix it with a drop of whatever tier symptoms you're going for, and then this create culture button on the pandemic is your next best friend. This is basically like a cheat mode. You could print up infinite number of anything in this machine, any blood sample. So you could print up infinite viruses, infinite cures, or even more copies of the cold or flu. Just put the drop in, go to create culture, name it flu, or whatever you want. So as soon as you have your chemical mix in the blood, you'll have 2 symptoms here. Then you're going to create culture so you can go back if the RNG isn't good, because then you're going to keep isolating away. 1 drop of synapsine, until you get the symptom isolated. Then name it whatever the symptom is and put it in the fridge. Make a couple copies if you want. All you need is one copy because you can keep copying it with the pandemic machine. So now you have an isolated symptom. Keep doing this till you have a bunch, and then you can make a custom virus with all your isolated symptoms, mixing them together one by one. I rarely do this, even though it's way more efficient. I do use RNG. I create the culture, and then I keep rolling what I want on my way upwards. That's the wrong way to do it, but that's just how I do it. To make a cure, so as you're creating a virus, you would use a monkey. You would inject the monkey with the virus in an isolated room away from the other monkeys. You use your 2 glasses that come in your laboratory. You have the science goggles, which you shift-click on any container and it tells you the reagents inside. You would use this to see how much chemicals you have left in a bottle. And then you have your medical goggles, your medical HUD. You use this more often. This will show you if people have viruses, and it'll show you what's wrong with them for the most part. Because with this medical HUD, you will infect the monkey, and then you will draw blood from the monkey, put it in the pandemic, and it'll tell you what the cure is for the disease. Also, as you're making the virus, it'll tell you the possible cure. You will have to go to chemistry 9 out of 10 times to get these chemicals to cure a virus. If it's a simple virus, it might be as simple as giving it carbon or giving it hydrogen, some type of simple chemical. You just go to chemistry, ask for it, or walk in, pour some in a bottle, bring it back to your laboratory, and you inject the monkey with this chemical. And definitely give them a couple doses of it, like 15 to 20 units of it. And then with the medical HUD, you'll see if the monkey's been cured. If not, you're going to draw more blood from the monkey, put it back in the pandemic, and it'll tell you the next possible cure for the disease. You keep going through the cures till you find the cure. Once the monkey is cured, and it shows it on the HUD, you take a blood sample from the cured monkey or cured human, put it in the pandemic, and it gives you a new option to make a vaccine. You can create vaccines. There's always a cooldown timer. Create a couple bottles of it, bring it over to chemistry, and print up a bunch of pills with it, depending on how severe the virus is. Don't print up 50 pills if you don't have to, put it that way. And you should always save a vaccine in the refrigerator. Your refrigerator is your virus bank. Virology really isn't that hard to wrap your head around. It's all RNG based, and you can get better at rolling those RNGs by focusing on one tier of symptoms, and by using proper culture making and process of elimination. You could get whatever symptoms you want isolated to make the perfect virus. You make a virus with regenerative coma, self-breathing, whatever good stuff out there, and then you spread it to the crew, people will love you. If you take the culture of the virus you want and make pills out of it, that's another way to give it to people. If it spreads by fluids, if the transmission is different, you might not be able to give them pills. You can also be a vector by infecting yourself and walking around the ship, talking to people, sneezing on people, hugging people. The wiki for virology is extremely helpful and simplified. Also know that the Virology Laboratory is an extremely safe place to the ship when the station is going in full chaos. But a lot of traitors will use Virology's windows to break into the station or secure viruses. So just know that you are pretty safe from the station and your co-workers, but enemies, Space Carp, they will attack your windows quite often. And for some reason, Virology always has windows. Also, it is a destination for the Syndicate ship and pirate ships. They will land outside Virology most of the time. Virology traitors are amazingly fun. Go crazy with it. Create the most deadly virus you can imagine. I like to infect the monkeys and then spread them around the ship in maintenance or other areas just to act as kind of vectors to spread the virus. And look through the symptoms. There's a good amount of them to have a lot of fun, both beneficial and funny stuff. I always like to leave one negative trait that's mild with my super beneficial virus for RP purposes. Last time I made a regenerative coma positive virus, but there was a side effect of itchy ass. Basically, I just left itching on it and wrote that on the label. So if you wanted to heal yourself from extremely damaging things happening to you, you have to deal with the itchy ass. It's fun. Virology is a fun RP job. Let me know what you think in the comments down below. I love hearing from you. Hit that thumbs up button and subscribe for more awesome content. I will catch you on the next one.